So Profitero is a measurement and analytics platform in the e-commerce space. I think probably the simplest way to put it is we help brands measure their market share on Amazon, and we help them understand what's happening on 600 retailers across the world, whether that's Walmart or Target or Amazon or Kroger, and what's happening with their pricing and promotions versus competitors, what's happening with ratings and reviews, what's happening with their search rankings, what's happening with their content, all for the purposes of helping them understand how they can improve sales in e-commerce.
Bryan, so tell us what's been going on in the retail e-commerce space. I mean, what's been accelerated through the pandemic?
So I think we all know that sales have grown more this year than they have the previous decade, and it's now almost a third of all retail. I think the bigger aspect is that customers have tripled, and so we brought in a lot of new people, and this pandemic has gone on so long that the research clearly shows that when it is over, it's not going to go back to the way things were. And so that has just accelerated not only e-commerce sales, but it's also made developing a retail media platform absolutely essential for every retailer that wants to stay in business. There's an old saying that you and your audience certainly familiar with, that advertising follows eyeballs. And that's always been true. And so there's a lot more eyeballs there. But I think the other aspect of that is everybody's trying to compete with Amazon. And if you can't beat them, you need to join them. And what they've proven beyond a doubt is that the advertising platform is helping subsidize their ability to be more competitive in price and more competitive in the way that they make the delivery of goods, whether that's shipped, pickup, or just actually, delivery, real that time delivery, much more economical.
So tell us about data, what you guys measure, the value of that data. And also, of course, there's increasingly amount of data coming from big retailers.
Yeah.
How does that data work? Is it for the supply chain? Is it for planning? Is it around performance measurement? Let's talk about those topics, please.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, it's like so many other industries, there's so much data, but it's not always in the format and it's not always accessible to people to make the most use of it. And so like so many things, organizational and ecosystem dynamics hold back progress. And I think analytics are a key part of that. And I think one of the insights that we gleaned, and I joined Profitero in April, right in the middle of this pandemic. And one of the things that we do, I think the simplest way to think of us is we are providing product level analytics to our clients. And our clients are big brands, largely CPGs like a Kraft Heinz or a Clorox, L'Oreal. And what I quickly understood was that the product level analytics were detached from the advertising level analytics. And so most of those brands are using big platforms, whether it's a Kenshu or a Packview, and most of them have agencies that are actually doing the service and the media buying. They don't have access to the analytics that would actually increase performance. And so just some simple examples. Out of stock, that has been a huge issue this year. Well, the individual that has their hands on the keyboard making buying decisions on a day in and day out basis may have a wealth of targeting data. But if they use that to buy a product that's not available, that's literally throwing money down the drain. Or if they don't know how well that product is converting, they also can't optimize how much money to put forth. I mean, we had a client, literally, I heard from the CEO 2 weeks ago. He used our data, or his company used our data on their direct competitor. And when they found out that certain products were out of stock, they then targeted their ad media on the retail platforms towards conquesting those out of stock items, and their sales went through the roof. And so connecting product level analytics with advertising analytics is really essential. And so rather than offer that ad service ourselves, what we have done is we've created this open ecosystem where we're integrating our analytics into the large ad tech platforms. And we've also partnered with every advertising agency holding company to be a certified Profitero partner, so they have access to this to make better decisions in real time on behalf of their clients.
Bryan, what are your thoughts about the big retailers that are launching media businesses? And of course, there's several now. What are their opportunities, and how do they fit into this world of advertising and helping brands maximize what they invest in from a media standpoint?
I mean, I think they're the ad platforms of the future. I mean, Facebook and Google are going to continue. Amazon's built an enormous business, but I think if you look at this, and I've spent 25 years in the ad space, the retail media platforms in aggregate are going to be enormous forces in the space, and it's because they have the audience, they have incredible data, and they're bringing actually the promise of what we've been trying to do for 25 years since really the advent of the commercial internet, which is tying advertising to an actual point of sale. And so you have this perfect closed loop if you can tie it right to the point where someone is making a transaction on a retailer. So I think there's enormous potential, and as I mentioned earlier, the retailers have no choice but to make this work because they need it in order to compete. I mean, one of the dirty little secrets is while e-commerce is growing dramatically, it is far less profitable than brick and mortar. And so they need other mechanisms to do this. So I think there are a lot of keys here, but the retailers really need to break down the silos, which they're working at between kind of brick and mortar analytics, brick and mortar shopper marketing, and regular consumer marketing because they have to tap into these larger consumer ad budgets.
As a veteran of the agency world, how do you see the media agency world evolving, the value of the agency, what changes they need to make in the year ahead?
It's a great question. I wish I had a magic answer. I think the entire industry is struggling with, are there enough people with the right skill sets and the right training to be successful here? And these are things that held back search and social 15, 10 years ago when I built up 360i from scratch. I mean, these are issues that the industry was dealing with. And if agencies are going to be successful, they have to step into that void and be able to be sources of great intelligence and sources of great ability to execute much better than if a company is taking it in-house or if they're going to use a specialty agency, which have cropped up everywhere. So I think having the right people and the right training is going to be critical. The second is having the right systems. You simply can't do this with just humans. You need the technology to be able to make sense of the data so people are spending their time focused on the right things. And you just cannot afford, like the agencies have in the old days, to throw people at problems. It's got to be hyper efficient. So I think there's a lot of adjustments there. At the end of the day, necessity becomes the mother of invention, and I think the challenges that all the agencies are going through offers plenty of motivation to not to stick with what's been working in the past. But I think there are definitely going to be some winners, but undoubtedly there's certainly going to be some losers. And like all other disruption, I think there are going to be some new entrants who are going to be really successful.